They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End. Whoo boy, this movie is bad. Like, I would rather grind my forehead against a cheese grater for 2 hours than watch this film. It's that bad. Is it the worst piece of shit I've ever had the pleasure to watch? Heck no. Is there absolutely nothing about it that's good? Again, heck no. But this film is boring. At least the other two films kept me interested from beginning to end. This film just kept me looking at my friggin' watch. Okay, so the franchise isn't going to be episodic. Instead, the filmmakers decided to do a continuous narrative. But by doing that, you open yourself up to a whole lot of continuity issues and conflicting stories. So many times the writers write themselves into a corner and ignore what they've said in the first two films to get out of it. Suddenly, all those important plot points that you've built up and ignored are a lot more obvious. In the first film, we never found out why Elizabeth used Will's name, but the film doesn't focus on it. It just kind of sweeps it under the rug and moves on, which is lazy, but at least it's not dwelling or wasting our time with it. In the second and third film, they're taking the time to build these things up, so we expect something to come out of it, and when nothing does, it's a lot more disappointing. That kiss between Jack and Elizabeth, a moment they built up as some kind of romantic drama, never addressed, which I guess is probably for the better, but it still makes it pointless. The Kraken killed off screen because we don't have time to waste on that plot thread anymore. Oh, I can't wait to see how our heroes are gonna beat this giant monster. Oh, they killed it off screen? Okay, well that sucks. There are also a ton of things that don't really make any sense. Tia Dalma says she can't bring Jack back from the dead like Barbossa because his soul is not dead, but taken. Okay, well, what about Elizabeth's father? She can't bring him back from the dead? Tia Dalma screams out that Elizabeth can't leave the ship, but she never explains why. Why can't they bring him on the boat? Will he turn into a rotting corpse if he gets on the boat? Why can't Elizabeth go get him? What will happen to her if she does? Explain the rules to me, movie, because otherwise you're just making shit up to create more drama that serves no purpose to the overall story. In fact, what is the overall story here? In the first movie, it's simple. It's about pirates trying to lift a curse, which it is. In the second, it's about Jack trying to escape Davy Jones, which he does. So, I guess the third is about stopping Cutler Beckett? But if that's the case, there is so much padding and so much pointless distraction from that story. The bathhouse scene? No purpose to stopping Cutler Beckett. That's to get Jack back. Getting Jack back from the locker? No purpose to stopping Cutler Beckett. That's to release Calypso. I guess you could say the story is about releasing Calypso to stop Cutler Beckett, but fuck me if this film doesn't take the longest and most complicated route possible to getting to that point. Will screws Jack and Barbossa by making a deal with Sao Fang. Sao Fang screws Will. Beckett screws Sao, and that's just in the span of a few minutes. Everybody is screwing everybody in this film, and not in a fun way. And worst of all of this is just dancing around the main plot of stopping Cutler Beckett. Anything between saving Jack and heading to Shipwreck Cove is pointless to the overall plot. And yes, even some of the stuff at Shipwreck Cove is pointless. Why does this movie show the court debate whether or not they should release Calypso, decide not to, then have Barbossa release her anyway? So basically, this scene makes this scene completely redundant. Let's talk about some of these characters, mainly the villain, and the new character this film made a big deal about introducing. Yeah, see how important they're making Chow Yun-fat's character seem in the poster? Guess what? He's not. Pretty much everything to do with Chow Yun-fat's character is pointless. He's in this film to die and give Elizabeth, a character we didn't need to bring back for the sequels, a position of power. Remember how Elizabeth had nothing to do in the second film? Chow Yun-fat's character is designed to give her something to do, which is great for Elizabeth's character, not so much for his own. Oh, and Tia Dalma? Oh god. Remember how cool of a character Tia Dalma was because of how mysterious she was and how everything about her was left up to the audience to discover? Tia Dalma says Davy Jones fell in love with a woman. She has the same locket he does. That's all you need. Your audience isn't stupid. We can fill in the gaps. But no, this film has no time for subtlety. All that allure is gone because now we know more about her and she's a woman scorned. Whoop-de-fucking-do. And as for the villain of this film, Cutler Beckett is not an interesting villain, and we know too little about him to give a shit. They couldn't even explain why he wants the pirates dead, or why he has an axe to grind against Jack Sparrow. Unlike Jones and Barbossa, who have motivations and are interesting characters, Beckett is neither, so I couldn't care less if they stop him or not. Even if he wasn't that interesting of a character, the performance could have saved it. The difference between someone like Tom Hollander and Jeffrey Rush or Bill Nye is that Bill Nye and Jeffrey Rush play to the camera. They have fun. They overact a little bit. They chew the scenery. And that's a lot of fun to watch. So even if these weren't really good characters, we'd still like to watch them. Tom Hollander is taking this role way too seriously. In fact, sometimes the entire movie takes itself way too seriously. I mean, for crying out loud, people, this is Pirates of the Caribbean, a fun adventure film, and it starts with a kid getting hanged. What the fuck? Shall we die? Yo ho, all together.
Not quite my tempo. It's all good. No worries. Here we go. 5, 6, 7.
So yeah, this film takes itself way too seriously, and Cutler Beckett as a villain sucks ass. Although, this shot of him on the ship being destroyed is pretty cool. I'll give you that, movie. I'll give you that. I may have just bitched and moaned about how much I hate this movie, but at least there is some good things in it. Jack Sparrow and Barbossa's rivalry is fun and leads to some of the best jokes and best lines. In fact, Jack Sparrow in general is the only thing that is consistently great about all three films. The special effects are just as good as the second film, and that end battle between the Flying Dutchman and the Black Pearl in the middle of the Maelstrom is a ton of fun. Plus, we finally put an end to Will and Elizabeth's story. For a second time. This film is easily the weakest in the franchise. It's just too complicated. The first film is like knitting, each twist and turn all leading together to build a good story. This film is like gluing a bunch of different pieces of yarn together and hoping they stick. It's trying to be a big epic film, but what made the first film so great was that it wasn't trying to be epic and grand. It just wanted to have fun. It's a tremendously flawed film, and if it wasn't for the very few brief moments of entertainment, I would have been bored throughout the entire thing. I give Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End a 1 out of 5. It's total garbage.